Quidditch Tryouts. The morning of Quidditch Tryouts dawned crisp and clear, which Harry took as a good omen until they remembered that omens were probably a patriarchal construct designed to oppress women's intuition. They had spent the previous evening in the common room with Hermione, who had somehow turned a simple "good luck tomorrow" into a 47-minute dissertation on how competitive sports were inherently designed to reinforce toxic masculinity and capitalist exploitation of the working class. "I mean, think about it, Harry," Hermione had said, pacing back and forth while gesticulating widely with a copy of Hogwarts, a history that she'd apparently annotated with feminist theory. The entire concept of Quidditch is based on the male fantasy of penetrating goals with phallic objects while riding symbols of masculine power. The golden snitch is obviously a metaphor for the elusive female orgasm that men think they can just catch. Harry had tried to point out that maybe sometimes a flying ball was just a flying ball, but Hermione had given them such a withering look that they'd quickly agreed that yes, the snitch was definitely problematic. Now, standing on the Quidditch pitch in their hastily modified robes, they'd sewn rainbow patches onto the sleeves and added a small pronoun pin that caught the morning sunlight. Harry felt a mixture of excitement and dread. The other hopefuls were stretching and warming up, shooting curious glances at Harry's colourful additions to the standard uniform. "All right, everyone," Oliver would called out, jogging over with his usual enthusiasm. He stopped short when he saw Harry, his eyes widening as he took in the Pride-themed modifications. That's very colourful, Potter. I thought it would be important to represent authentic identity expression in athletics," Harry explained earnestly. "Sport should be inclusive spaces where all marginalised communities can see themselves reflected." Oliver blinked several times, clearly trying to process this. "Right. Well, that's a progressive of you." He cleared his throat awkwardly. "Though I'm not sure the uniform regulations. Are you saying there's something wrong with Pride colours?" Harry interrupted, their voice rising slightly. "Because that sounds like discrimination to me." "Now." "No, of course not." Oliver backpedaled frantically, his face reddening. "Pride colours they're brilliant. Very prideful. I just meant." "Oliver," came Professor McGonagall's crisp voice as she approached the group. She was flanked by several other faculty members who had apparently come to observe the tryouts. "Is there a problem here?" "Professor McGonagall." Harry brightened. "I was just explaining to Oliver how important it is to have inclusive representation in sports. Did you know that Quidditch has a long history of gender-based discrimination? I've been researching it with Hermione." McGonagall's lips twitched in what might have been amusement. "Have you indeed? Well, I think your modifications to the standard uniform are quite thoughtful, Potter. Very forward-thinking." From the stands, a loud voice boomed out, "Allahu Akbar." "Go, Harry." Everyone turned to see Rahmed Ulwazer waving enthusiastically from the Gryffindor section. He was indeed wearing what appeared to be the largest turban anyone had ever seen, a magnificent purple and gold creation that looked like it could house a small family. His younger sister Ginny, now Jalila, sat beside him, also in traditional dress, holding a sign that read "Diversity in Sports Mashallah." Up in the stands, Rahmed was now leading what appeared to be a chant. "Parry. Harry. Break the binary. Parry. Parry. Smash the patriarchy." Several other students had joined in, though most of them looked confused about what they were actually chanting. Hermione, who had positioned herself in the front row with a stack of books and a banner reading "Sports are a tool of oppression, but go Harry anyway," was furiously taking notes. "Perhaps we should begin the tryouts," McGonagall suggested diplomatically. "Yes, right," Oliver nodded, grateful for the redirect. "Everyone grab a broom and we'll start with some basic flying drills." Harry mounted their Nimbus 2000, a hammer down from their cousin Dudley, who had received it as part of Vernon's guilt-driven attempt to buy Harry silence about their identity. As they kicked off from the ground, they felt the familiar rush of freedom that came with flying. This was something that transcended gender, politics, and social justice. This was just pure joy. "Potter," Oliver called out. "Let's see how you handle the snitch." Harry zoomed toward the tiny golden ball that Oliver had released, their rainbow patches streaming behind them like a pride parade in miniature. The snitch was fast, darting left and right with unpredictable movements, but Harry found themselves anticipating its path almost instinctively. Yara's queen, came a shout from the stands. Hermione had apparently abandoned her scholarly note-taking in favor of enthusiastic support. Show them that gender is a social construct. As Harry dove toward the snitch, another voice cut through the cheering, a snide, familiar drawl that made their stomach clench. "Oh, look everyone. Potter's putting on quite the show." Draco Malfoy had arrived with his usual entourage of Slytherin cronies. "I suppose this is what passes for talent when you get special treatment for being different." Harry nearly missed the snitch, their concentration broken by the comment. They pulled up sharply, hovering about 20 feet above Draco's sneering face. "What's that supposed to mean, Malfoy?" Harry called down. Draco's smirk widened. "Oh, come now, Potter. We all know you're only being considered because the school needs to fill some kind of diversity quota. Can't have the team looking too traditional, can we?" The other students had stopped their own tryout activities to watch the confrontation. Oliver looked torn between maintaining order and avoiding getting involved in what was clearly about to become a social justice incident. "That's enough, Malfoy," Oliver said half-heartedly. "Bizzard thou." Draco continued, warming to his theme. "I mean, how do we even know Potter's eligible? What bathroom does they even use? Are we going to have separate changing rooms now? Maybe separate teams for people who can't make up their minds about what they are." Silence followed. Even the wind seemed to have stopped blowing. Then Romet's voice boomed out from the stands, "Why, oh, Malfoy. Your mom's so ugly, even the prophet wouldn't cover her face." This was followed immediately by Hermione shouting, "Draco Malfoy, your internalized misogyny is showing and it's not a good look." And then, unexpectedly, Professor Snape's distinctive drawl cut through the chaos. "Yo, Malfoy, sit your basicus down before I make you disappear like your daddy's hairline." Everyone turned to stare at Professor Snape, who was leaning against the stadium wall with his arms crossed. His presence at a Quidditch tryout was unusual enough, but his comment had left everyone speechless. "Professor Snape," McGonagall said carefully, "perhaps we could maintain a more professional atmosphere." Snape shrugged. "Just keeping it real, Minnie. Kids got talent. Don't care what bathroom they use long as they can catch that little gold ball." Harry felt a surge of unexpected gratitude toward the potions professor, despite his generally problematic approach to everything else. Right then, Oliver said, clearly desperate to regain control of the situation, "Potter, if you could demonstrate your snitch-catching abilities without the commentary." Harry nodded and refocused on the golden ball, which had taken advantage of the drama to flatter near the goal posts. This time, they blocked out everything else, Draco sneering, Hermione shouting, Romet's enthusiastic chanting, and simply flew. The snitch zigged. Harry zagged. The snitch dove. Harry followed in a perfect spiral. The snitch attempted a sharp turn around the goal post. Harry anticipated the move and cut it off, fingers closing around the struggling golden ball with a satisfying snap. The stands erupted. Romet was on his feet, his massive turban wobbling dangerously as he jumped up and down. "That's my friend. Mashallah. Allahu Akbar." Hermione had apparently started crying. "That's what authentic self-expression looks like," she sobbed. "You're dismantling the patriarchy one snitch at a time." Even some of the Slytherins in the stands were clapping, though they stopped abruptly when Draco shot them murderous looks. Oliver flew over to Harry, his face split by an enormous grin. "Potter, that was bloody brilliant. Welcome to the team." "Really?" Harry asked, still clutching the snitch. "Really," Oliver confirmed. "Though we might need to have a team meeting about uniform standards." He gestured vaguely at Harry's rainbow patches. "Actually," came Professor McGonagall's voice, "I think Potter's modifications are rather inspired. Perhaps the entire team should adopt a more inclusive aesthetic." Oliver's face went pale. You mean rainbow uniforms? To everyone. Why not? McGonagall smiled. I think it would send a wonderful message about Gryffindor values. From the stands, Hermione shouted, Professor McGonagall, you're an icon. A legend. The moment. Meanwhile, Draco had turned an alarming shade of purple. This is ridiculous, he spattered. What's next? Participation trophies? Safe spaces on broomsticks? Trigger warnings before matches? Actually, Harry said thoughtfully, still hovering nearby, trigger warnings aren't a bad idea. Some people might have trauma related to competitive sports or... Oh, for fuck's sake, Draco exploded. Language, Mr. Malfoy, McGonagall snapped. Sorry, Professor, Draco mumbled. I meant, oh, for crying out loud. Snape snorted. Kid's got a point, though. Y'all are doing the most over a damn uniform. Professor Snape, McGonagall said warningly. What? I'm just saying. Let the kid wear their rainbow patches. If it makes them fly better, who cares? We got bigger problems than fashion choices. Harry landed gracefully, still glowing from their successful tryout. The other hopefuls were looking at them with a mixture of admiration and confusion, clearly unsure whether Harry's acceptance was due to skill or politics. Oliver clapped his hands. Right. Well, that's our new seeker sorted. Everyone else, let's continue with. Wait. Hermione's voice cut across the pitch as she jogged down from the stands, her books clutched to her chest. I need to interview Harry for my essay on gender performance in magical athletics, a post-colonial feminist analysis. Hermione, Harry said patiently, can't this wait until after? This is important, Harry. You've just struck a blow against the heteronormative sporting establishment. The implications are enormous. Ramad had also made his way down from the stands, his turban slightly askew from his enthusiastic cheering. Habibi. You were amazing. My mother always says, those who fly with authentic hearts soar highest, mashallah. Your mother says that? Harry asked. Well, she said it once. Last week. About her souffle. But it applies here too. Oliver looked around at the chaos, Hermione setting up what appeared to be an impromptu interview station complete with quill and parchment, Ramad organizing the other students into what might have been a prayer circle, Draco arguing with anyone who would listen about special treatment, and Professor Snape providing commentary that would probably get anyone else fired. You know what? Oliver said finally. Practice is cancelled. Potter, welcome to the team. Everyone else, just try not to make this more complicated than it already is. As the crowd began to disperse, Harry felt a hand on their shoulder. They turned to see Professor McGonagall smiling at them. Well done, Potter, she said quietly. Your parents would be proud. Really? Really. They always believed that magic was strongest when it came from being true to oneself. She paused. Though I suspect they might have drawn the line at rainbow Quidditch uniforms. Harry grinned. We'll see about that, Professor. As they walked back toward the castle with Ramad and Hermione, Harry felt something they hadn't experienced in a long time, belonging. Sure, it was complicated, and sure, there would probably be more drama ahead, but for the first time since coming out, Harry felt like they might actually have found their place in the world. Even if that place involved rainbow Quidditch uniforms and friends who chanted about dismantling the patriarchy. So, Hermione said, pulling out her quill again, tell me about the exact moment you felt the gender binary crumbling beneath your feet as you caught that snitch. Harry sighed. It was going to be a long interview.